I do love house music. I love all forms of music. There's no real vibes there though. Let's be real. And there's no disrespect to the music, because remember I was making and playing house many, many years ago. I was talking to an artist, I won't mention his name, but he's like a massive house artist. And he was like, yeah, I was a bit underwhelmed. And I was like, why? And he went, I don't know, it just kind of, everyone sort of was more chilling. They weren't really raving. He goes, you go to America, they're just like losing their, if you look at a drum and bass rave and how everyone just loses their, goes mental. And then you look at the other music, there ain't no energy like D&B.
I've been in a couple of tech house raves and it's just been like after party, head nodding.
Yeah.
But then I've gone in tribal and it's mad. Now I've been to a couple of raves where they've booked jungle sets and I've gone there and believe me, bro, it's vibe. It's not the same as a drum and bass rave going mad, but there is mad vibes in there. I'm like, wow, because it's fresh. People in there are friendly as well. It's mad, like the biggest gangster or whatever. And he's like, you're like, bruv, it's mad, bruv. You get me?
SaSaSaS show. Best of the best of the best with the very fresh flow.
Yes. Welcome again to another episode of SaSaSaS, Life and Laughter. And today you can see it's myself and Shabs in the house.
Going on.
Harry's off. What's Harry doing, man?
He's writing bars, isn't
he? He's writing bars, that's it. He's busy in the studio working on something at the moment, so don't worry, he'll be coming real soon. So yeah, man, you know what I want to say before we start? Just the usual stuff: like, subscribe, share. Don't forget, leave a comments. Actually, did you see some comments on the last video?
Yeah.
The guy, I screenshotted it, I sent it to you, where the guy bought the same outfit you and Skibbs had. Yeah. That's wicked. We love hearing them stories, do you know what I mean?
The fans, man, keep the comments coming in. Enjoy reading them. Yeah, man, it's good to see, man. Some memories getting revealed and people then remember them. You know what I mean?
Actually, didn't someone say that they had your hat on one of them?
Yeah.
So somebody actually left a comment saying that they actually had Shabba's hat. He spoke about on a previous podcast and that. So so as I say, we do read the comments and that. And also as well, you can actually leave comments on Spotify now. We usually leave a question and answer thing. So it's all there for you to interact with us. So Shabs, like today, I think we're going to start with jungle music, man. As two artists that have, are 3 decades deep in this, in this music industry, we've been through the times before jungle really kicked in to when jungle come out of favour. But, so I want to talk about that. But for me, when people say jungle drum and bass, to me, I just look at it all as one. It's one, jungle drum and bass. I know, obviously, it's called drum and bass now. Do you understand what I mean? But there's that fine line. Yeah. They're almost, to me, they're like one. Do you know what I mean? But obviously there's different styles within drum and bass. Yeah. As there is in, I was thinking about this earlier. If you think about house music, it was like, there was just one style. Now there's like tech house,
that's right.
Tribal house. There's so, there's so much sort of style. So, so with jungle, as someone like, let's go right back. Let's take it right back. So for you, when was that first time you started really noticing this whole jungle movement happening?
It's a good question. Like when I think when I was on Defection, Weekend Rush around them times, because it kind of switched from Weekend Rush and then went to Defection and later on went back on Weekend Rush. So around that time,
what year would that be?
That would have been
92?
1990.
1990.
That was way before
then. That's what I'm saying.
Going back to then. And it was kind of like warehousey music at the time. It was just after the phone box, get your number,
the raves,
location and all that. So basically, people that don't know about that, it used to get like a number. Basically, just give you a number, and it used to be like a phone box. You go to the phone box, and then you go to another one and get the directions to like in the middle of a field. Yeah. So that was when I got into it, and that was kind of like. It weren't jungle then, definitely. It was like hardcore. Yeah. So acid house.
Yeah, it was on the acid house and house era.
The first time I experienced proper jungle, I would have said would have been around 90, because you could say telepathy like 91, 92, but that weren't really jungle either. That was hardcore. That was going into...
When they first started?
Well, not when they first started. When they was doing like Wax, the start of that and all that. That was kind of like...
Well, because
it was the start of the jungle, but it was like had people hardcore jungle. I wouldn't even say it was jungle. My first experience was like 93, 94.
Yeah.
Because when the proper ragga sample come into it.
Well, you know what? It's funny you say that because... I remember Telepathy used to book Swanee, and Swanee was obviously a massive rave kind of out of that hardcore era.
Yes.
So I understand what you're saying with regards to that, because he'd always
be the last bit of the hardcore, whereas he whatever had gone. Yeah. Then it was going into more the clubs, but it was like it was still not jungle. Jungle to me was like, you're talking jungle splash, man. Like them days there for me, that was when like the jungle scene was popping. Like I'm not saying
is that Paul? Is that Paul?
Yeah,
jungle
that
splash?
was like '93.
So even before that, do you know Paul had a label called Ibiza Records, which they were kind of making real early jungle, like that fast breaks. Still had that kind of kick.
That was the early days of the jungle, definitely. But to me, when I experienced jungle, like when you say jungle, I think, I don't know why, I think ragga vocals. Yeah. I think like the proper
that was the change,
all them tunes, the Capleton tunes, the early ones, Coca-Cola bottle and all that, like way back when. Do you know what I mean? And I just think like them days there was like the proper, like for me it was jungle, because everyone was kind of like into it. There weren't really loads of music.
Would you say that jungle was more than just a music? It was like a whole movement, because it was everything from like how you looked, how you went about. It just had this kind of like something about it, Well,
I think like coming off the back of the rave scene, it didn't really matter what you wore. You used to see people with no tops on and raving and all that. Like, towards the late them days, I've seen videos online. It just reminds me of, wow, that was whistle and horns and all that. Like, it come from that. But I think the jungle was more of a trend. Like you said, it was more the early days of the Moschino, and then people was actually dressing up to go out. Like designer label ball in them days there. That was like a promoter called Bowler. Like he used to do a thing in Dalston, and they used to have like, he come from the warehouse, but then they turned it into jungle, because when jungle was kind of like, you had like Harder They Come, Roast, like Equinox. That's to me that was the jungle scene. Do you know what I mean? But that was still rave scene as well. Do you know what I mean? So it was kind of like mixed. It's a hardcore jungle. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, people would argue and say that the jungle scene started way back in the baselines and whatever.
I think it's like anything. Like I think it, like you say, it started a bit earlier. But the thing is like I always find that people, like, there's this thing where people's favorite music or favorite genre of music is where they find the music, like if I go back to my all-time favorite, it'd be that 88, 89, because it was just like, oh my God, what's this? It was so fresh and everything was so new. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like that era there, even thinking about that again, I'd say it did start before, because of the pirate radio days, like, like 91, 92, Weekend Rush, Cool FM, Defection. Do you know what I mean? That was the early days of jungle. That was like Mixmaster Max, and it was crazy, the Brain Killers and that. When I think about it, that was the early days. Of course, that was jungle. That was like hardcore jungle. But
it was that.
It come with it all that. Yeah. But then after that, it turned really jungle. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? See, as an MC as well, like you couldn't even get a word in. Do you know what I mean? It was bare vocals.
See, I think for me, one time that there was when I noticed a massive dramatic change from that sort of hardcore junglist kind of thing to actual jungle was me and Hype went to a Jungle Fever at the Coventry Eclipse. And I stood on the balcony at the top and I was watching. I think it was Hype. I'm not too sure, but I think it was Hype's first gig outside of London. I think. And I think it would have been like 93, 94. And I remember he like I was around his, and he was preparing, like he had spare dubs, and like I went up with him, and I remember he was like right nervous, and he went, and Hype nervous. He's a magician on the decks, but I think there was so much pressure on him, and he absolutely tore that place a new a-hole. He really did. And I just noticed it was like just pure ragga, this, and it was basically like a reggae jam.
It's coming back to me now, like you're talking about it. Like to me, there's one DJ I want to big up, because he's the man that really, if you want to talk about, let's go back with facts. Like anyone that knows, that listen to the radio these times would know, Redan was the man for ragga jungle. Yeah, like he used to mix dub.
He was cool, wasn't he?
No, he was Weekend Rush.
Oh, Weekend Rush.
But he actually was one of the only Rush DJs to play on Jungle Fever. There was always politics between the stations. It was all mates, but it was politics outside of that. And big up Eastman, and big up all the Weekend Rush crew, Dicer and Miley and all those guys. But obviously we all grew up in the same flats. But I think that Red Ant was the first DJ I heard play acapellas. It wasn't a jungle tune. It was Buju Banton's acapella, and he mixed a hot you know what I mean,
like a hardcore junglist shit.
And it was just like, and he used to do it every Sunday. And then he had it locked, and everyone that for me that was the first time. And then it just it from there excelled, and then like you had people just prop up like M-Beat. Like Reinforced and all that. Not Reinforced was a different side of it, but you had like Third Party, and all that.
Wasn't that something to do with Paul?
Yeah, that was something to do with Paul and Chatterbox and them, man, and Dizzy.
Yeah.
So yeah, like there was.
Because I remember
sides.
when Ibiza were putting music out, I remember they really like
potential bad boy.
Yeah, potential bad boy. Yeah. But they were really turning the tempo up. Like they were pushing the tempo up. Because I remember. Like when me and Gemini done Hippodrome in 1991, I think that was one of the early 140 BPM tunes. Do you know what I mean? Everyone was sort of like about 125, 130, and we just went, let's go a bit far. I think what it was is because we were playing tunes at 130 BPM on +8. Yeah. Like we thought, well, let's make it faster so we don't have to play it. So it's already got minute. You know what I mean? You did it. You wanted to make it a bit faster.
Samples, didn't it? It was the early days of
samples.
Shy was the, kind of the man that, when they made Nutter and when General Levy made that tune and all that with M-Beat, like, that's what I'm saying, around that time.
Well, like...
jungle scene was popping. Like.
A lot of people don't know this because obviously every time, and I have to mention this because like UK Apache, is one of my good friends, but obviously Shy and UK Apache created that track together. But what people don't realise is that the instrumental of that track, Shy actually released previously, as an instrumental, and then what happened is UK Apache had already written this song Nutter years before, and then what he did is he put it on the song, you know what I mean, and that's how. So UK Apache is obviously like a massive key factor in that. Do you know what I mean? I know it's Shy and UK, but I remember that getting that instrumental.
Like bread and butter, innit? You can have butter on its own, it will taste alright or whatever, but you bread on its own, you put them together, and it's like do you know what I mean? And it's like, it goes, that's what I'm saying, it's probably waiting for his vocal, that tune. You know
definitely. Because I think the original tune, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think it was called Gangster Kid, was what the original one was. And then UK come with the vocal, and well, obviously, look, the one thing about that song is it stood the test of time. Like, if you think about it, like it's like 30, well, it's coming up to 30 years now, and it's still...
Even back then, it sounds as good now than it did back then. And
it's mad, isn't it?
As you hear of it, and... fair play to General Levy as well, because
with Wicked,
there was a lot of politics with that tune and all that, and he smashed it. He's come out the other side and he's doing his thing, and it only makes the music stronger.
Of course it does.
In 2023, like jungle scene is healthy. Like there's loads of parties.
Well, if you think about it, AWOL, I mean, AWOL have got a party coming up soon, so this would be a little plug for Milton. Big up Milton. They've actually got Rodigan playing on the show.
Yeah.
Now Rodigan, you see that? Yeah, Rodigan is like the king of like like reggae from the UK, and when I see that, I was like, wow, okay, because where like. I thought it's funny. I never thought it till I see it, but when I looked at it, I went, if you ever thought, where can you take sort of jungle now? How can you move it forward or put another like dash of flavour into it? And then to bring Rodigan in to do that, I think that's genius. I can't believe Milton spent the money.
It's always good to see different lineups. And I mean, like the jungle scenes come back round and it's all over the place. And you go certain places over the world, and it's like drum and bass is dominating. Obviously, like the Belgiums and certain other places, but then you go other places, and then sometimes it's only jungle that's accepted.
Well, that's true.
Islands as well, like drum and bass is only just pushing through, but all them sunny islands and
you're right. Well, when we used to go over to when we used to go to Cavos and Zante and all that, that's what we pretty much we played a bit of D&B, but we pretty much played all the jungle classics because that's what everybody knew. But it's mad how a lot of the youngsters that are out there playing now, like how influenced they were by jungle, whether it was their parents that were into it. So it's wicked how the music's kind of carried on going through the generations. I mean, do you know what I mean?
That would have been what they grew up to.
That's what I'm saying.
Into it, and it's just elevated, and now for me it's refreshing because there's two different sides to this. There's loads of different sides and different flavors of the music or whatever, but the jungle scene is kind of the root of it. No matter what you say, still the root. It's paved the way for all these drum and basses and these styles of music, the liquids and the jump ups. You know what I mean? It's all come from that stem of it. So it's gonna come back around, and it will always be strong. I've heard some really good remixes that are fat and they're different now. You know what I mean? Before they was doing remix and I was like, nah, I prefer the original.
The original, yeah.
But now I'm hearing a couple of tunes and they're like, it's very similar, just fattened up. And you know, different little rolling bass lines on it or whatever, but just actually like with the same sort of vibe.
If you look at like, there was labels like Ram, and I think V might have done it, but I definitely know Ram did. What they did is they basically remastered everything and got new mixes of it.
New mixes,
and they were pretty much modern versions of exactly the same mix.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? I remember you mentioned it to me ages ago about it. So
it's excelled since then as well. I mean, like people are just, some of the remixes was a hit and miss. Like I said, they was trying things and it was like, nah, the original always kicks better. Yeah. Even if it is lower. And...
Do you think that's familiarity though? Because you know when you're familiar with something, it's like the way we're sitting. Like just for those, normally I sit here and then Shotta will sit there and Shabs will sit here. And what happened is when we moved around, we thought, let's give it a change. When we went back to, after like 2 or 3 episodes, when we went back, like people were actually not commenting on the episode, commenting like, oh my God, you're back in your seats. And, I just was like, wow, that's crazy. But it's like, just, you know, like people don't like change, and it's that familiarity. So, you know, like sometimes I think we are, you know, if you hear Chopper, like, which is another all-time classic, and you're like, if you hear another mix of it, it would need to be pretty special to beat that original one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like some of them, like even back then, there was remixes that were better than the originals, like Warhead and I liked. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Warhead
that
was actually a sick tune. The original, it's hard to beat, but the remix was sick as
well.
The
remix was sick.
It was like wow, and isn't it? You know what I mean? And then like there's some tunes that are better, but I think. It's just, I suppose it depends on and where you're dropping it and where you're hearing it, and on a normal sound, like even on the radio, some of them can just sound the same, but then you hear them in raves and they pop off again. I think they've still got the same effect. I mean, I don't know what they was doing back then that was different to now, but the music was longevity. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of throwaway music now.
Even now, if you look at like people like Born on Road, you know, they're pretty much flying the flag massively for jungle and modern jungle at the moment. And there's loads of artists. I mean, I don't want to start naming them all, because I wouldn't remember them all, but there's like so many artists that have, even when the music was going all over the place, they just stuck to their guns and they just carried on producing that style, even though it was modern, but it was like modern jungle. Do you know what I mean? But the beautiful thing I think now as a DJ is I could play Neuro in the set, because Neuro to me actually sounds quite jump uppy, but with a bit more of a techier edge on it. Do you know what I mean? I was talking to a Neuro guy the other day about it, and I was like, yeah man, you lot are making like jump up, and no, not. And I'm like, you are. Listen to the melodies, and they were like, you know, he was a bit like, no, it's not jump out. And I'm like, it is. It's like a form of it. But you have to, like, when we play out next week, I'll play something, I'll catch your eye and I'll go Neuro, and you'll know what I mean. When you listen to the tune, you'd never think it was a Neuro tune. But it's
them sort of like techie noises.
It's the way it all can blend, which is, I think, a beautiful thing. But let's take it back again to, you know, so you mentioned about the hardcore jungle and everything like that, and then when the jungle started really kicking off around sort of 93, 94, and that period, I think that period from sort of, let's say 94, because that's when it was full swing, I think. 94 to about 97. Yeah. Maybe 98, but I think 98 it started to tail off a bit because of all the rubbish that was going on.
I think the end of the tailing off was, for me, was the end of 96 going into 97. I'll never forget it, because 97, I was going to actually go and get a job.
Well, you've said this before.
Because it went dark. The music went dark.
Right,
and it split. It weren't MC friendly. This music was just like, it was more friendly than the ragga side of it, because there was too much vocals. Yeah. And it was getting cut out, and it didn't really need an MC, like just for a host. Yeah. So it went almost back to that, and then it sort of went dark. Yeah. And then that's not the reason I was going to go and get a job, because I weren't feeling it. Yeah. When it went too dark, I was like, what's this?
See, I know what you mean.
That's when a lot of people left and went to garage.
They did,
because they couldn't take the noises. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it was like,
but I think there was a conscious effort from producers, as well as like,
got a bit lost.
I did 100%.
Yeah, it got a bit lost. That's the best way of saying it.
But I also think because of all the the negative activity that was happening in the raves. What happened was there had to be something to kind of change that, because it's like anything.
Yeah, it was madness. It was. If you think about it, there was no grime, there was no garage scene hardly. There was none of that before all that, and it was like everyone was into one music, and the UK music was jungle, and it come from the rave scene or whatever. But then everyone got into it. You had your rude boys going out. That's the Moschino days and the Versace days, and it was people's dressing up. But then what come with it was the badness as well, like the trouble at the rave, people getting robbed, a man coming with guns, and it was a lot of, it was on the telly, But
that's the problem, is when it started getting that negative, it's quite contrasting, when it was like on the telly and in the papers and everything, it's quite contrasting to when the acid house movement was in the papers. I always remember the Sun newspaper put a front, it was like a rave sunrise at White Waltham, and I remember when I see this headline, and it was like something about ecstasy, or I can't remember, it's in the Sun newspaper, it's a front page, and I remember looking at that paper going, like, there was probably about 1,500 to 2,000 people on a regulars going out, and I went, next week is going to be 10,000, and there was thousands. So whoever had the rave the week after was buzzing, because it was on the front of the thing, and I think it was a geezer standing on the speakers.
So that, they say don't go, this is happening, and people just go.
Because they're interested in that. I remember going to a rave, and like, I remember there was about 1,500 people. It was like a little movement. Everyone seemed to know everybody. It was like a little family thing. It was wicked. And then the week after, it was just like double. Then the week after, double. And it just escalated very quickly.
Yeah, that's almost how it went now as well.
Yeah,
but that's a different way, innit?
But the thing is it went, if you're saying all that negative stuff come out, what happened is, because it's obviously, the reports that are going out were of a negative connotation. What's happened is it's gone down, because people are like, I don't want to go to that. Do you know what I mean? And I think you're right. I think that could have been when garage really did start to explode.
A lot of people, garage was always going on because for the US and all that, and then but the English version,
the UKG,
I don't know exactly when that started, but a lot of them come from the jungle scene.
Yeah, you're right.
I was rolling with DT at the time, and he was coming to dances with me, driving me to raves, and like he was MCing with me, and then all of a sudden a lot of people just left and went on the garage. And then they created their own way. Fair play to them, do you know what I mean? But then I get it, because all the girls left because the bad boys were just ruining the raves.
Yeah.
So girls were just like, no, I'm going here. It's like almost like what's happening to the house scene now.
Is that happening in the house?
It's friendly. Yeah, it's friendly.
Oh, I see. People are going there now.
Like garage has got its scene, definitely. But like it's stemmed house has come in, and it's like a different vibe. It's almost like,
you know what? I do love house music. I love all forms of music, and I
tribal house, like you said. There's all different sides to it. There's what I call the rude boy side, and then you got the techie side, which is there's
no real vibes there, though. Let's be real. Like, if you put a video, I know, no disrespect, because I know, and there's no disrespect to the music, because remember, I was making and playing house many years ago, before jungle and hardcore and rave and everything, right? So and I still listen to the music now, and I'm and I'm very much up on what's going on. But when I watch videos of stuff, like, I was talking to an artist, I won't mention his name, but he's like a massive house artist, and he was telling me he played at a UK show, and he was like, I was a bit underwhelmed, and I was like, why? And he went, I don't know, it just kind of, everyone was more chilling. They weren't really raving. He goes, you go to America, they're just like losing their and I was just like, I thought, made me think about it, and I think, if you look at a drum and bass rave, or even a jungle rave, we'll call it drum and bass, and how everyone just loses their, goes mental. And then you look at the other music. Yeah. There ain't no energy like D&B.
It's different. And obviously like the BPM and the way they rave. But I can tell you, I like the tech house. I've been in a couple of tech house raves, and it's just been like after party, head nodding.
Yeah.
But then I've gone in tribal, and it's mad. It's
what about
crazy.
What about this ammo piano? This seems to be the thing.
Saying, they're mixing this thing, but this tribal side, like Super D, Pioneer, they're all my bridgings, innit? So respect to them, man, there. And, there's a couple of MCs that's killing it on the circuit as well. And even my bridging Throw and all that, like, they're into that. And I've been to a couple of raves where they've booked jungle sets. And I've gone there, and believe me, bro, it's vibes. Like, it's
so playing jungle inside the house.
It's not my cup of tea, but they're playing jungle in there. They play a couple of jungle sets, like half an hour or whatever here and there. But I've gone to a couple now, and it's like people going out, and it's a vibe. Trust me, it's a different vibe. It's not the same as a drum and bass rave going mad, but there is mad vibes in there. I'm like, wow, I was even shocked, a couple of them, but it's billing, like this tribal thing's billing, and they're killing it. Them not are killing it, man. If you see
so, do you think do you think the tribal thing you're talking about has it got because I haven't really
vocals,
has it got jungle connotations to it?
Maybe bass lines and the remixes, and I don't know. There is a couple of tunes, but they've got their own little vibe. I've seen it there because it's fresh, so they're making new music, innit?
Yeah.
So they've got new singers, and they got songs that they know, and then they're re-singing and all that, and it's mad. It's like I'm even shocked, like a couple of it, and they get like drummers and all that.
Yeah.
It's like a vibe, man. Like I went there, I was like, whoa. I can see why people like
people are drawn in.
People in there are friendly as well.
Yeah,
it's mad.
yeah.
Like you can see the man looks like the word, like the biggest gangster or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're right, bruv. Yeah. It's mad, bruv. You get me?
That's good.
Like,
and you know what? That's one of the things that like got me into the whole thing in the first place was like, obviously I love the music, but it was just like the vibe. You just
all about the vibe. You get me?
All about the vibe.
So you as artists, we can see when there's vibes and there ain't vibes.
No, definitely.
And some music, it's not really my cup of tea, but boy, when certain music, it's like, oh yeah, I can see why there's a buzz for it.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
And it's different. You know what I'm saying? And they've almost created it in this, like, even though house comes from America or whatever, they've got their version and their spin off of it.
But it's like anything is as soon as like there's just everything just splits into different things. But anyway, we're going to wrap this one out. This is a nice short episode about basically jungle, drum and bass. We went into a bit of house, you know what I mean? Yeah. So listen, I want to say, give us your thoughts. Your thoughts are really important. Like, what's your favorite music? What's your favorite era of music? When did you come into it? Me, like, I absolutely love the 88, 89 vibe because that's when I first found the music, and it'll always hold a special place in my heart. And let us know what was your favorite all time and era, and also as well, what do you think about the jungle drum and bass? Like, do you see it as like all one? To me, it's all one to me. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, leave your thoughts. We love to hear your thoughts. So this is SaSaSaS, Life and Laughter. We're going to sign out. Remember to like, subscribe, share. Please share because, it's important that we get these things out there for everyone to see. And we'll see you next week. Peace.
Big up.
SaSaSaS, beats and bars, fresh. Don't know we're heavy. The best of the best of the best. So awesome if they're ready. Yes. SaSaSaS, beats and bars, fresh. Don't know we're heavy. The best of the best of the best. So awesome if they're ready. Yes.